Hey everyone, my name is Angelina and I'm a violinist in the Virginia Symphony Orchestra based here in Norfolk, Virginia. Today I'd like to share some ideas with you about how you can organize your orchestral practice. Due to recent events, you might find yourself without any impending deadlines, auditions, or concerts. But this can be a great time to tackle some new repertoire that you've always wanted to learn or will need to learn in the future. So today I'll talk about how you can explore the vast orchestral repertoire, organize your music and excerpts, and ultimately make your practice time more efficient. So let's delve in. If you're without orchestra music at the moment, then the first step is to choose a work that you would like to know better. A great starting point for this is to look ahead at what big orchestral works you will need to learn in the near future. Perhaps your youth orchestra or school orchestra has already announced what rep you'll be playing in the coming school year. If this includes multiple big works, make a list and choose a symphony from that. Looking ahead at this can be extremely helpful because when you're in the midst of the school year, the workload is extensive. You're juggling private lessons, chamber rehearsals, theory classes, mock auditions. There's no doubt that time is limited. So you really want to make sure that the time you have then to practice your orchestra music is used for fine-tuning your individual part, rather than trying to start from scratch and learn a huge amount of repertoire all at once. We've all been in those situations where we've had to cram practice, and it's just simply not effective or pleasant for that matter. So being already familiar with a large work of music is going to be really invaluable. Once you've chosen a work, the next step is to find the sheet music. The website imslp.org is an invaluable resource. It's a database of music that is in the public domain. So here we are on the IMSLP homepage. We've got our search bar in the middle, so let's say that you've decided to work on Brahms 4. We'll search for that, select it, and here IMSLP will always show recordings first. So scroll down to look for sheet music, where we have scores, but we're looking for parts. From there, all the instruments will be listed. So let's say I'm looking for the violin part. That'll take us to the download page. IMSLP is a free service, but it does depend on voluntary membership. So without membership, you're going to just wait a few seconds for your download. You'll continue, and then you'll have your entire Brahms 4 part. When you've got sheet music, then next find a quality recording. YouTube can be a great resource as long as you choose a recording that's done by a professional orchestra, or a subscription streaming service like Spotify or Apple Music is great. When I'm learning a new work, I find that playing along with recordings can be very helpful, but here's a few tips to help make the experience more successful. I prefer to use headphones when I'm playing with recordings. You can experiment to find which style works best for you. This may be like a high quality bud style, or you might prefer like an over the ear style. That's totally your personal preference, but you definitely need to look for good sound quality. The kind where you can hear those really soft dynamics well without having to totally crank the volume. You want quality, just not noise canceling, since you need to be able to hear yourself. Another tip for playing along with recording is to find a means to alter the tempo. So I use a paid app called the Amazing Slowdowner that is compatible with Spotify and Apple Music. I make a playlist of the music that I'm working on, and then I can easily access that rep when I open the app. And from there, I can totally alter the speed of a recording. When I'm learning new music, I find it helpful to slow down the recording's original speed, obviously, especially with faster movements. It helps me play with better control and also just be more fully aware of the score so that I can absorb what's happening in the rest of the orchestra. And just remember, practicing with a recording is a really useful tool, but it doesn't replace that solo, slow practice that you'll need to do on your own. Once you've played through a work, it will be more clear as to which sections of your part will need individual isolated practice with the metronome. So use the recording as a means to help you discover which sections need your practice time more than others. So I hope that these suggestions for how to choose a project and tackle a new work have been helpful. In this next section, I'd like to discuss methods for organizing your excerpts and orchestral sheet music. That collection of practice parts from music you've played in youth orchestra and school orchestra. It's honestly never too early to start building your own orchestral library. I started compiling my collection while I was in school, and I'd like to share a few tips for how you can organize your music, since it can pile up pretty quickly. So I keep my collection in large binders. Here's the first one, arranged alphabetically by composer. Looking inside here at the front, I've got a section of just standalone excerpts. So maybe those that I commonly reference or those that I don't have the complete part for. If I have multiple excerpts from one work, like Mozart's Symphony 39, for example, then I keep those excerpts with the complete part. Looking at complete parts here, I keep sticky tabs at the beginning of every work. This helps me quickly be able to reference a specific piece without kind of flipping through multiple pages of music. And I like using binders because it allows space to expand your collection and makes it easy to remove that part when you need it. We've discussed IMSLP, but it really is an invaluable resource for building your library. If you're learning a standard work in your orchestra and playing off of an original score, I would suggest taking the time to find your part on IMSLP while you still have that original before you have to return it, and print it for your collection. From there, transfer any fingerings and bowings that you like so you'll have them to reference when you play the work again. And then add it to your collection. It's really rewarding to see your collection grow as you continue to perform new works in your orchestra and learn new excerpts. So speaking of excerpts, let's look at how some of the ideas we've covered in this video can be applied to the ways in which you practice your excerpts. We've already covered how helpful it can be to play along with recordings, and excerpts are no different. As you're learning excerpts, you should be listening to 3 different recordings of each work. By referencing more than one recording, you can notice variation in tempo, in phrasing, and overall style. And it really helps develop your own personal style for the excerpt rather than being over-influenced by one sole recording. To keep my sheet music less cluttered, I always use post-it notes to kind of keep track of what orchestra I'm listening to, what conductor I'm listening to, the tempo of each recording, and where in the recording the excerpt is, so that I don't have to go searching each time. But honestly, there are fantastic online resources that have already done and compiled all of this work for you. My favorite is orchestraexcerpts.com. So here we are on its homepage. You're going to scroll down, select your instrument, and from there it's going to take you to an extensive list of excerpts. They have a lot of selection and a huge variety. So let's say that you're still working on Brahms 4. Let's say that you're doing the 4th movement excerpt as an example. So for each one they have the sheet music supplied, but most helpful I find they have the recordings, and just like I was saying earlier, they have 3 recordings listed, different orchestras, different conductors, and they've listed the tempo markings. And the recordings are queued up ready to go. In addition to that, they even have the ability for you to slow down or speed up the tempo so that you can play along at a variety of different tempos. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you gained some project ideas and helpful tips to help make your orchestral and excerpts practice more efficient, both now and in the long run. Happy practicing!